Hello, Ben. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone at home. Indeed, Alberto cannot join me here today, so I'll be your sole commentator for this race. It's in the quite picturesque Jarama circuit tonight. And once again, we have a full grid. And I believe Ben has a short video for us. Right, Ben? So
The
we will
Spanish
be
Grand
looking
Prix
into
at
that,
Jarama saw
about
the
the ground
competition with
effects.
one thought in mind. How do you beat the ground effect cars? Lotus doubled their threat with a brace of the black machines parked at the front of the starting grid, Andretti and Peterson running away with the time trials. One person who did not share the general pessimism was former champion James Hunt, who catapulted to the lead and enjoyed the uncluttered view up front for the first time since the previous season. Hunt was going to match all his skill and determination against the technically superior Lotus. And for 5 laps, the mixture was exactly right. Then the inevitable. Andretti took wing and soared past the McLaren. The McLaren pits saw their hopes fade back through the field on ruined tires, while Lotus began to savor the possibility of consecutive 1-2 finishes. Peterson had moved into second. Andretti appeared out for an afternoon of pleasant motoring. The wing car had taken all the sophisticated racing machines of the opposition and turned them into antique autos. Colin Chapman's cap flew into the air, signaling victory. It appeared he would need a wholesale discount on them before the end of the season.
Thank you, Ben. So as we could see, ground effects, which was a very new technology in this 78 season, brought by Lotus and quickly copied by all the teams on the grid. By 1979, virtually everyone would have a ground effects car at the end of the season. And it was indeed a technology that forever changed how an F1 car drives, because it was really the beginning of the predominance of aerodynamics into Formula One racing and Formula One cars as a whole. Now at this point, we are at the warm-up. I can tell you straight away that Greg once again clinched pole, but we will run down the grid as soon as the race starts. A piece of news here today is that Richard Coxon and Jan Kowalski switched places. So now Richard is driving the ATS car and Jan is driving the Tyrrell. Richard was not happy with the direction of the Tyrrell car. And I suppose Jan jumped to the challenge of trying to tame the white and blue machine, which is fast yet fragile and a bit unpredictable. So let's see how those two fare. It will be, I believe, an attrition race. This Jarama circuit, it's a bit tricky by the fact that the barriers are very close to the track, and you try to maximize your lines by going as close to the barriers as possible, and that can pose a danger for everyone here in this race today. Richard Coxon with driving the yellow machine here today, as I was saying. Another thing to have in mind here is that people, because they are driving so wide, they are going actually off track onto those runoff areas that you see in terracotta color. They are a bit more slippery than the tarmac, so we might see people making mistakes there. And plus, they at some corners they go over the curbs actually, so they will have to be careful if they want to last the race. I would not be surprised if by the end of this race we would have very few finishers because those cars were catching at people. And speaking of people, we have 28 drivers here today. It's again basically a full grid of cars. Fortunately, this time no problems with people joining the server. David Junt, I can see him there with the Renault. And we hope that the start will be also less, well, more trouble-free, I mean, than the starts in the last race, because we had a few problems there. This track, fortunately, is not as tight as Zolder, although it's still a tight track. It's one of those tracks that we mentioned last race that it would actually come out of the calendar in the following years. It was one of those tight tracks that Formula One liked to visit in the mid-70s, but that by the early 80s they were confined to history books as the calendar slowly progressed to wider and faster tracks. And it will be interesting how the driver is posed to yet another challenge of the Type 2C track with the very twitchy cars that they are driving here today. Of course, now both Team Lotus drivers, Didier Congeot and Gerard Brion, possess the new Lotus 79. So let's see how Didier uses the new car potential in this race. And it might be interesting to follow the race of once again Richard Coxon, like I mentioned earlier in the ATS, to see how he fares with that machine. It's been a consistent points runner in the hands of Jakob Fredriksson. Of course, Richard has been one of the front runners on this championship since the beginning. So we will see how he drives this potentially slower car, but in his own words, a car more suited to his driving style. Now, of course, we are only 20 seconds to the end of the of the warm-up, I mean. So we will be starting this race soon. Now, on the points table, I can tell you that Adrian still leads, although with just 2 points of an advantage over Grégoire Guassin. So Grégoire is on pole today, and if he wins, he can actually take the lead of the championship in this race today. Now the warm-up has finished, and soon we'll be starting the racing procedures here. It's quite a shame that Alberto can't be here, since this is his home race. But, well, even on the virtual world or virtual racing, sometimes the real life comes first. So this time I might be joined later if one of the drivers is brave enough to share the booth here with me. But in the meantime, let's see how this race unfolds and starts. We hope that there will be no problems here. The admins have been saying that they will be paying close attention to people who cause mayhem at the starts. So everybody's warned that they have to be even more careful this time around.
attention grid. Will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now?
And here we go. It will be a 75 lap race. So again, a long race, the normal F1 standards here. We are expecting a big, well, I wouldn't say a big problem, but people have to be extra careful with tires. It's a faster track than we would think. It has quite a couple of very fast corners. And if the tires are going off, that can be really tricky. With the added problem that the tires will go off eventually. With these cars, some of them at least producing big amounts of downforce. So we will be running the grid now. In first place on pole once again, familiar sight of Grégoire Poisson. Second place sharing the front row and making it a whole shadow front row, something probably the real F1 never saw. Vincent Beretta in second. Third is Gerard Rion in the Lotus. Fourth, Petr Lavak in the Williams. Fifth, we have Jan Kowalski in the Tyrrell. He did very well with the new car. Sixth, Philippe Martinelli in the Arrows. Seventh, the other Tyrrell with David Jack. Eighth, we have Ray Ridal in the Cooper Sucker. Ninth, David Sauer in the Ferrari. 10th, Didier Conjou with Yellow Lotus 79. 11th, Richard Coxon in his new ride, the ATS. 12th, Jonathan Nesselklint, a very good performance here with the McLaren M26. 13th, his teammate, Matthias Weber. 14th, we have Jan Tix in the Wolves. 15th, Jakob Fredriksson in the other ATS. 16th, we have Nick Chapman in the Arrows. 17th, Yves Placé in the Ensign. 18th, Jean-Marie Placé in the McLaren M26. 19th, Michał Janak in the Surtees. 20th, making his return, François Remen in the other Ferrari. 21st, Martin Lassina in the Theodore. 22nd, Raoul Jareb in the Brabham. 23rd, Dana Schur with the Ligier. 24th, Jason White in the other Brabham. 25th, we have Emmanuel Az in the McLaren M23. 26th, Steve Parker in the Surtees. 27th, Mike Becknell in the Merzario. And starting 28th, David Junt with the Turbo Renault. David Junt was saying that this is not a good track for the Renault, and I believe him. Being a mid-speed corner track, mostly the lag must be very difficult on him here. But let's see, he usually progresses well during the races, so he might do a good race as always. Oops, we have a problem. It seems Vincent has disconnected, I believe. Now, I don't know if the admins will do something about this, but if not, they are all lined up now. We are waiting for the green. And they're off now. Grégoire Poisson takes immediately the lead. A lot of Wilks being there. Petr Lavak follows him in the Williams. He takes second place. Who the pack all trying to squeeze between each other there in the back. Let's see if there is no problems there. Oh, Gerard touches with David Jack, I believe, but they keep going. And Emmanuel Haas seems to be in the pits, but besides that, everyone is racing. So we had a clean start here today. Grégoire Poisson is leading, followed by Petr Lavak. Jean-Marie Placé made a blinding start and he is now third, and with Jan Kowalski right next to him in fourth place. Let's see if Grégoire Poisson starts to pull a gap straight away. He's been doing that lately. Petr Lavak is following him. I wonder how long can he follow, if he can put any kind of pressure on him. Ooh, it's very hard to put the power down there. But Greg seems to be pushing right from the beginning. Now Jan Kowalski in fourth, that's gotta be a good performance from him now in the Tyrrell. Let's see if he can last the race. And Gerard Rion is in the pit. Gerard Rion is in the pits. He lost the front wing, so he has to pit for a new one. That's really, really bad for him because he was leading the championship by just 2 points. And I guess after this, it will be very hard for him to take any points here today. And he might lose the lead of the championship to Grégoire Guassin. Now let's look back to Jean-Marie Placet. He's now in third place. He's really under attack from Jan Kowalski. Jean-Marie Placet, his car is sending sparks all over the place. He seems to be riding the car really low here today. But Jan Kowalski is pressuring him all around this Jarama circuit. I guess he wants that third place badly. And who is now trying? He was trying there on the outside. Jean-Marie gives him room, and he's through. Jan Kowalski is now in third place. A nice maneuver there. He seems to be quite a lot faster at this point than Jean-Marie, so let's see if he can hunt down Petr Lavac. His Tyrrell also sending all sorts of sparks around in this front straightaway. So he's now a bit in front of Jean-Marie Placet. Maybe Jean-Marie can also follow him. But who doesn't seem to be getting quite a distance is Grégoire Guassin. Grégoire is now coming to lap Philippe Martinelli. I guess Philippe had to stop for damage probably. And Grégoire, he pulls out of the track basically to let Greg and Petr through. Petr is still very close to Greg. I guess maybe this time Greg won't have it that easy. Meanwhile, the top 10 at this point, and it had quite a bit of a shuffle with that start. So Grégoire Guassin is leading, Petr Lavac is second in the Williams, Jan Kowalski is third in the Tyrrell, Jean-Marie Placet is fourth with the McLaren, it's Davy Jack in the other Tyrrell, sixth is Jan Titz, who climbed quite a lot of places, seventh is François Remen doing a good job here with the Ferrari, eighth is Matthias Weber in the other McLaren, ninth, Ray Riddell in the Cooper Sucker. Once again, Ray coming to the top 10. And 10th now is David Sauer in the other Ferrari. Richard Coxon had some issues in the beginning of the race with the traffic and he's down at 14th position. Following a very close group that includes Mick Chapman and David Yunt. Richard is trying to pass Mick Chapman now. So Richard Coxon putting a lot of pressure on Mick. I guess he wants to climb those places that he lost in the start of the race. Ooh, Mick made a mistake and Richard is through. The only retirement so far was for Raul Jarev. He retired with suspension damage right at the beginning of this race. And now Richard Coxon is attacking David Yunt. This is the fight for 12th place. Oh, now David Yunt was very slow there, and Mick Chapman was able to catch up again with Richard. Now they're all on the front straight. Richard is trailing the Renault, and he's going to try on the inside. And Mick Chapman is also looking, but there's no way David can hold Richard there, and he lets him through. But Richard runs a little wide, and now David Yunt is coming back again. But Richard has the next corner, and he's through. So I guess Richard now has free room to try to catch the person in front of him, who is at the moment Yves Placé. Oh, it seems that Mick Chapman just made another mistake and he spun. He rejoined. He rejoined right in front of Dan Assurer, but I guess no damage there. Meanwhile, at the front, Gregor Aguassin managed to create a 2.5 second gap to Petr Lavak. And Jan Kowalski doesn't seem to be able to catch up with Petr because he's already 6 seconds behind him, while Jean-Marie Placé also fell behind. So it seems that it will be a matter of who can hold the fastest pace for long at the front. And for now, it seems to be Greg once again. At the moment, we have Jan Tits now trying to get to the back of David Jack. Jan Tits is only 2 seconds behind David Jack now, and this is a fight for 5th place. David Jack is 5th, Jan Tits is 6th. They are both on the points now, but of course Jan Tits had that very good last race, where he was able to climb to the podium right at the closing stages of the race, and I guess he wants to repeat that. So he's in hot pursuit of David here now. Ooh, and behind him we have François Herman and Matthias Weber. Matthias Weber is now trying to overtake François, and they are side by side. Ooh, they almost touched, but Matthias Weber was able to overtake François Herman now, so Matthias climbs up to 7th and demotes François to 8th. That was a very good maneuver there, very good driving from both. And now François Herman has Ray Ridal and David Saber very close to them. Ray is actually being pressured by David Saber at this point, so he wants to move up and move away from him and go in pursuit of François. And he seems to be able to at this point. He's catching up. Ooh, now François is getting close to Matthias again. So we might have a fight in our hands again here. Ooh, and
What fight would this
it
be?
seems to me that... Oh, hello, Jason. I was just going to say that you retired because of an accident, and Jonathan Natserklint too. So what happened with you?
I got hit from behind by, I believe it was Steve Parker. And how he didn't take off my rear wing was beyond me, but I was able to continue, but the back end wasn't quite right, and then I went off the track again. So, but truth be told,
what a shame.
I probably wasn't going to do that well in that this race anyway. I gather there was some carnage at the start, here and there at the hairpins, but it looks like did some of it involve Rion?
Yes, Gerard Brion lost the front wing right at the first lap of the race.
That's really too bad.
He's in a bad position now. So we are looking at François Remen. François Remen is now under attack from Ray Ridal. And thank you for joining me here, Jason. I guess I won't be commentating this alone.
No,
Ray
do you want to
François under pressure.
A bit of housekeeping. Do you want to do the play-by-play, and I'll do the color? Is that
yes, it can be so. I mean, you are the driver here in this series, not me, so...
No, it's true. Oh, look at Francois getting wide there, and he's letting...
Ooh.
Oh, Ray almost had the inside line there, but we should point out to our viewers, this is Francois' first race back in a while, driving for Maranello, and he's got a very, very tough competitor in
and behind them, look behind them, Richard Coxon just overtook Yves Poisset right behind them. Richard is trying to move up the field because he had a very poor first lap, and he's now in hot pursuit of Ray.
Actually, both ATS
Oops, and
drivers.
Jan.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that Jan Tits, who was in the points position, just retired with an accident. He crashed and he has lost a wheel and a wing. Terrible for him.
Yeah, he went into the barrier. It looks like into the kitty litter. That's too bad for Jan because he's driving the brand new WR5, and that's a fast car. One of the few ground effects cars that are in the series, so that's unfortunate. But Francois having a really good run here in 7th place. He's a fast driver. And we figured that he would be really fast in this Ferrari. But you were mentioning about the bad start that Richard Coxon had. Actually, both ATS drivers had a pretty abysmal start. I noticed I drove by Jacob right on the first lap. Wow, look at Francois really letting the back end hang out on that Ferrari.
Indeed, Francois seems to have adapted quite well to the Ferrari. And he's now keeping at bay both yellow cars here, the Cooper Sucker and the ATS of Richard.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really interesting matchup. I think you'd agree, because you have Francois in a V12 or flat 12 Ferrari who drives probably more of a spirited style of driving. And then you have Ray Radal in the Cooper Sucker, who is a little bit, he just made a slight error there. It looks like Coxon is going to capitalize.
Yes.
And he did. Coxon is through.
Indeed. Well, Richard wasn't going to take a second invitation there, I guess.
No, and on a track like this, you can't wait for an invitation. When you see an opening, you got to go for it. Because those of you who know your F1 history will know that Gilles Villeneuve won this race in 1981 driving a Ferrari, which frankly was not the best handling car in the field, but he won that race keeping 5 other cars at bay for the majority of the race, and they simply could not get by because of the nature of the circuit. So we may see stuff like that play out here today, where somebody may get held up by another car simply because of the nature of the circuit, not necessarily because they're slower than the guy in front.
Well, indeed.
Oh!
And speaking of development, his replacement at Tyrrell is doing not so bad because he overtook Petr Lavac, profiting from a mistake Petr did, and he's now in 2nd place. So 2nd place is Jan Kowalski, and 3rd place is Petr Lavac now. Yeah,
before the race I was talking with Jonathan, and I picked Kowalski as the dark horse to win this race. I know Greg is unmatched in terms of racecraft, but I definitely think Jan, now with new equipment, and he certainly seems to like it, has a good chance if Gregor just happens to have some kind of a mistake, or if he gets balked by traffic. It's a long race.
Well, indeed, and Richard, he really is putting the pressure on Francois at this moment. Francois Reman is getting the pressure from everyone. He's trying to emulate Gilles Villeneuve the best he can.
Well, he's in the wrong car,
he's
though.
He's leading a trail of cars.
He's number 12 for that. He's in number 11. Maybe he can talk to his teammate and switch cars, because his driving style is definitely... Look at him. There he back end hanging out. He's definitely doing a good Gilles Villeneuve impression.
Well, indeed.
Notice the line that Richard is taking going into turn 1. He gets almost all the way on to the terracotta colored apron. He's trying to use every inch of track that he can.
Yes, the drivers seem to be getting basically the whole car out of the track. Ooh, Richard almost had a moment there.
Yeah, but
I guess.
Oh, goodness!
Oh, someone is there against the wall.
That was David Gunn.
Oh, that's a shame. That's really a shame for him. I mean, he said that the Renault would be a tricky car to drive here. I guess he's doing him no favors.
He's still running. He's still moving. But yeah, he mentioned quite frankly in the chat that he had no practice. Oh, and he's weaving back and forth now, watching him now. So he's clearly, I think the car is damaged. So he may not be long for this. Yeah, he's actually making room now for Fredrickson. So, yeah, that could be another retirement coming up.
Meanwhile, maybe. Meanwhile, this amazing fight continues. Francois Jimenez is in 7th, and he seems to be getting more cars in that train behind him. Now Richards is looking on the inside once again. He doesn't have the room there. And I wonder how long can Francois keep everybody at bay?
Well, again, like I mentioned, that Villeneuve win in '81. I guess he's imitating Villeneuve in more ways than one in this race. But those who have watched previous races with Richard will know that I think it was in Long Beach. He sold a dummy, one of the best I've ever seen, where he was at one side of the track and then shifted to the other side at the last minute and took a position. So I wouldn't at all be surprised to see him do a tactic like that on Francois here.
Well, he might get creative indeed, because Francois doesn't seem to be wanting to give that place to anyone at this point, and Ray Rudal is very close to Richard now, so he can't afford to just sit there for the rest of this race.
And behind these three is David Saber in the other Ferrari. So this is going to be an interesting, I mean, it's already an interesting battle, but it could get even more interesting when you have the teammate, basically, I almost said Kowalski because I'm used to it, but Coxon and Rudal are in a Ferrari sandwich here.
It seems so. 2 yellow cars between 2 red cars. And
yes.
Placé is trailing them now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Yves Placé.
Which is still following Francais. Yes, he's been doing... Well, he's been fairly regular with the car. It just doesn't seem that he can get a great deal of speed out of the car. He's once again knocking on the top 10.
Yves is an excellent driver, and all of us who are regulars here know that he's. If you look at the totals for 2016, he's one of the most successful drivers in HSO for 2016 so far, with all of his success in touring cars. So, you know, it's just this particular series. Looks like Richard may have a chance here.
Oh, maybe so. But no.
Oh. It's a really
Once again, he trails Francois.
It's really awkward. You got to be really awkward for Richard because, oh, goodness. Here's his chance. This is it. No, not enough room. It's really hard to get the power down on that corner. I don't care if you're driving a flat 12 Ferrari or a DFB Ford Cosworth. Trying to put the power down coming out of that sharp corner is really hard. And we've lost another car, apparently. Yep, Steve Parker's out of the race in the Surtees.
That's a shame.
So the Beta Tools team will have to wait until Anderstorp. Although they do have one other car in the... No, that's the Durex team. Oh, David's in the pits, and he's lost his front wing. Thank you, Ben, for alerting us to that.
I wonder, maybe he clipped the wall somewhere that we didn't catch that.
No, possibly.
But he was in this group, so I guess he didn't hit anyone. Not that I could see.
Yeah, he's dropping down the order
Francois
now.
is... Well, it was inevitable at this point. Let's see if he can recover later.
Francois just ran wide.
Now he went really wide.
And
and Richard
through.
took the chance this time. So Richard is through now to 7th place. Francois remain down to 8 at this point. And now he has to contend with Ray Rudal right behind him.
This battle is going to be interesting how it shapes up because tire wear is going to become a big issue in this race. We're not even 20% of the way through. Oh my goodness. He's having a really hard time.
This car's getting really sideways.
This is a good chance.
Now Ray's very close.
Ray pulls out.
He's going to the inside now.
He's got the line and should have the position.
And I guess he's through.
Very good. Very clean, very well executed. The kind of driving we've come to expect from Ray. One of the newer additions at HSO, and he's showing himself to be a very smart, smooth driver. And another smart driver is right behind
Ooh,
Francois now,
almost touching there.
Yves Placé. So, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't count Francois out yet. If I were in his shoes, I would try to drive a little bit more conservative, try to cool the tires, and save them for the end of the race. What do you think?
I think so. At this point, there's no point in attacking, and indeed, whoever gets a good chance of having good tires at the end of the race can pose a surprise.
Taking a look at the front of the field, Gregoire is all by himself now. He leads Jan Kowalski by 11 seconds. So, and he's one of the ones who's using those aprons as much as he possibly can. So the question will be, can he keep that up, that kind of driving on the edge for the entire race?
Yes, he gets very close to the barriers, almost scary close. And now Jakob Fredriksson wants to get by Yves Placé.
Yeah, he's alongside. He's
battle.
more than alongside. He's through.
Yes, he's through now. So the other ATS moving up the field, and now he's the next in line to try to overtake Francois.
One other driver of note that we can point out is Matthias Weber, who's 6th in the McLaren, and this is a guest drive for him. Not a race that he, not a car that he normally drives, but he's doing quite well with very little practice, I might add.
Yes, he's in the point positions at
yes,
this stage.
He is. Yeah, also in a points position is David Jacques in the other, or Jakes. David Jakes in the other Tyrrell, who has lost a teammate. Looking at David Jakes, it looks like he's coming up on I believe it's Jean-Marie Placé in the other McLaren. So this could shape up to be a battle here.
Indeed, Jean-Marie is being followed by David Jake at this point, and he has been for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really hard as we approach the head of the field. It seems to appear that it's really hard to gain on your opponents. The paces, the rhythms there among the front runners are so quick that it's really hard to catch someone up at a very fast rate. You have to be patient. What happened?
He made a really dramatic effort to overtake Richard, but it didn't pay off, and now he's under attack by Yves again. These three running right together, 9th, 10th, 11th.
Oh yes, Jakob Fredriksson, Francois Remen and Yves Placé still engaged in a fierce battle here. It seems that Jakob doesn't seem to be able to pull away from Francois, at least as fast as he would hope, and Francois was still able to attack him.
It's probably the grunt of that flat 12 that's keeping him in contact with these guys, or in contact with Jacob. Don't forget, everyone, that Jacob is one of the winners this year. Oh, what?
We had an overtake maneuver here, a sudden one. Jan Kowalski, David Jacques just overtook Jean-Marie Placé.
Oh, yes, he did.
For 4th place.
Well, he was gaining on him hand over fist, so...
Yes, but he was still a bit behind, so I believe that maybe Jean-Marie Placé made a small mistake in the pressure, and
he must
David profited from that.
Yeah, that's probably...
So now they swapped places.
Well, David's another guy that is very fast, but doesn't always have the practice that other people do. So the lack of practice, hopefully it won't come back to bite him. But actually, now that I think about it, neither has Jean-Marie had much practice. So these two are in very much uncharted waters.
No, we are not short of action once again.
Yeah, this series, if you look at the points table, we've been treated to a really interesting series so far. It really still is anybody's series. Those people who would have said that whoever drives the Lotus 79 is going to win the series, well, that hasn't proved out to be right. And those who thought that that there would be a situation where front runners that didn't have great cars wouldn't do as well, that's wrong too, because Greg and Vincent and other people are despite driving cars that aren't at the very top of the performance chart, they're doing fantastic. I mean, it's interesting to see how that plays out.
Francois Herman, at this point, managed to pull a bit away from Yves Placé, but of course, Jakob Frederiksen pulled a bit away from him, so the group is now spreading up after those intense laps between them.
Well, Francois is probably breathing a sigh of relief right now that he does have a bit of room to breathe. Cool those tires, because he's going to need them later.
Yes. Only 20 laps of this 75-lap race completed so far, so a lot can still happen. Meanwhile, Jean-Marie Placé and David Jacques, they are still very close. They seem to have a very similar pace, and neither can pull away from the other. So this might be shaping up to be a long race battle for these two.
It could. It very well could. And of course, gone almost completely unnoticed by us is Petter
Oh, Richard Coxon just made a mistake.
Oh, goodness.
And he touched the barriers. I don't know if he made any damage, but the car span from him coming into the finish line, and he darted immediately to the pits.
Yeah, he lost it on the very last corner, and that's really fortunate. I mean, if you're going to lose it anywhere, you want it to be on the corner right before the pits. So he's pulling in to get damage fixed, but from what I can see, he didn't lose a wing, so I'm actually kind of surprised he went into the pits.
Well, I could see that he hit the barriers with his rear tire, so maybe there is a suspension damage. He's trying to do something about it.
Well, he probably won't.
But
be able to
if
fix
it's
it.
indeed suspension, yes, that's what I was going to say. If it's indeed suspension damage, it will haunt him one way or the other for the rest of this race.
Just to recap for those of you, we have one more accident to report. Mike Becknell has retired in the Merzario. So basically, we have 6 retirements so far. 8 if you count Vincent Beretta, who had a disconnect on the pace lap itself right before the start. So still
Yes,
has 20.
that was very unfortunate.
Yeah. However, I mean,
And yes, please.
no, just it was nice to see us finally get a start off without having to do a bunch of restarts, though.
Yes, everybody started clean this time. I guess preventive action and preventive words did the trick. Of course, with the problems of Richard Coxon here now, Ray Riddall is promoted to 7th. Jakob Frederiksen is now 8th. Francois Herman is up to 9th, and Yves Placé is now rounding the top 10. Ray Riddall is soon to be, at least to my eyes, under pressure from the other ATS car, Jakob Frederiksen's car.
Yeah, Jakob is closing on him quite quickly, it looks like. Ray is, those of you who have been watching the series will note that his Fittipaldi Ford has a different look at this race. It doesn't have the airbox on top. Not sure why, but at this particular race, his engineers have decided they don't need it.
Either that, or maybe it was making quite a bit of heat. What happened?
No, it's just that Frederiksen's getting closer and closer. And he's putting Ray in the position of having to drive probably a bit with more abandon than he'd like. As we've mentioned before, he's a very smooth driver, and he likes to take things very slow. He's well, not slow, but just he's one of the
steady. I mean,
he's very steady. He would probably subscribe to the Niki Lauda mantra of winning at the slowest speed possible, or words to that effect.
Well, whatever he's doing, he better speed up a bit, because Jakob is looking really menacing at this point. And I wouldn't be surprised if he takes that place sooner rather than later.
I'm thinking, I'm willing to bet that the tires are starting to go away on the Copper Sugar because, as we've noted, the car is heavier than most cars on the grid. And that extra weight may be causing the rear tires to go off faster.
Well, that surely won't help him, although he has probably the widest car in the field here today.
No, he does. It is definitely one of the widest cars in the grid. But you saw there as they were going into that tight corner, he was oversteering on the exit. So, and so is, for that matter, Fredrickson. So, I think everybody is going to be struggling for grip before this race is over. No question about that. Oh, here we go. This might be it. Fredrickson pulls out.
Oh, he's trying.
He's alongside. He's got the position. Now, if he doesn't overcook it,
Ray made a mistake, and he almost spun.
Looked like his
He
rear
kept
wheels locked
going.
up. No, but he's still going.
So Jakob Fredrickson is now in 7th, in the demoted Ray Redal to 8th. Of course, Ray is always hounding the points positions, and I wouldn't be surprised if he is again in 1 at the end of this race.
His next target, Fredrickson's, is Matthias Weber in the Marlboro McLaren, and he's quite a bit further up the road, actually. So
yes, he's almost 20 seconds up the road, so it will take a while if he is to catch Matthias.
And it looks like Jean-Marie is actually he's staying in touch with David Jacques, or Jakes. We're so used to saying that now that it's going to take us a bit to remember what his actual name pronunciation is.
Oh, yes, believe me. Of course, it's never easy to commentate on such names of so many different nationalities.
Well, we have, I believe that's, was that Philippe Martinelli making room there? For, there's a bunch of lap. Okay, the field is now starting to encounter lap cars at a more regular rate. And that's going to provide lots of drama. And that actually...
Yes, David Jacques and Jean-Marie Placé are now very close to each other because of that.
Yeah, exactly. That basically set up what we're seeing now. Now they're coming up on Dana Schurer in the Ligier JS9. So now, David's going to the inside, and hopefully he's hoping that there'll be room made. And look at that, very sporting. Dana gets out of the way of both cars, lets them both through.
The Tyrrell seems to be getting out of at least in the hands of David, seems to be getting out of the corners with a bit more traction than the McLaren of Jean-Marie. He seems to be able to hold that small advantage, but under brakes, it seems Jean-Marie can close right up again.
Yeah, it does seem that the cars are definitely strong in different parts of the track. So we'll see what happens as the race progresses. Of course, this is another race where we have having such a huge grid on such a small track could be an issue. Oh, there's another wiggle from Jean-Marie.
No, he's trying all he can to keep up with David at this point. Ooh, David run just a little bit too wide there. He was almost on the grass, and there's not where you want to be. But Jean-Marie, I don't believe he will let him go, although David seems to be able to pull just a little bit away in this sequence of corners. This is the fight, I remind the viewers, for 4th place. David Jacques is 4th and Jean-Marie is 5th at this point.
I believe we have Mike Becknell on the line now. Mike, you there? No, apparently not, but...
We don't have here today our two friends who provided us with a long, almost the whole race battle actually, Simon Watman and Miroslav Lavic. They were driving one-off appearances in that race, so unfortunately we don't count with them here.
Yeah,
we are still not short of action.
There are a few people actually who are missing in this race. This is I do believe there were less one-off drives available to begin with. But yeah,
I think so. At Zolder, it was a race notorious for one-off drives. It had 5 or 6 on one-off drives, which was quite a lot. So David Jacques seemed to be able to pull just a little bit away from Jean-Marie, but not enough for him to breathe. So
It
he has to keep going.
It could be, too, that Jean-Marie is just taking a breather for a second. Although, oh, shoot! Oh, no, 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 no! Oh, goodness. Well,
I guess he won't breathe no more in this race.
Nope, that's the end of that. Very unfortunate. He just, it looks like he just missed his braking zone there, and once you get in this gravel, that's the end of that. I mean, God, that's really unfortunate. So that
yes, and Jean-Marie was exactly, that's what I was going to say. Jean-Marie was driving on 5th place, so with his demise, now Matthias Weber is 5th, Jakob Frederiksen is now in a points position in 6th, and Ray Riddell is now 7th. So I guess Jean-Marie was trying everything he could to keep up with David, and now David can breathe in 4th place.
Yeah, he might have pushed it just a little too far.
This is being a good race for David Jake. He had some unfortunate races, but now he's doing a fine job here, keeping the Tyrrell in 4th place. A good race for the Tyrrell team at this point, because Jan Kowalski is also 2nd.
Well, David now is in a situation where his closest pursuer is now retired, although he's got another McLaren right behind him. Well, not right behind him, but about 10 seconds behind is Matthias Weber in the guest drive. So eventually he's going to have to, one would figure, he'd have to deal with him.
We haven't been talking much about our 3 leaders, but the truth is that they are imposing a blistering pace here. They already lapped everyone up to 8th place, and they are Gregor Aguassin, Jan Kowalski, and Petr Lavak. Greg has 12 seconds of a lead over Jan Kowalski, which is not as much as he had in other races. So I don't know if he can afford to let go, because tire wear can prove a problem for him later. But still, they are really lapping quite fast, because David Jacques,
I believe we have.
Is for.
Sorry, I believe we have Mike Beck. Is that Becknell?
Oh yes.
No, I heard him briefly.
There was someone or something. Yes.
Yeah.
User left your channel.
Well, apparently he's having difficulties of some kind, so maybe we can get a comment from him later. Meanwhile, would you like me to give a complete rundown of the order for our viewers?
Oh, please do, Jason.
Okay, well, here we are with 29 laps complete in the Spanish Grand Prix at Jarama. Gregor Guassin leads in second place, 12 seconds back for now 11.6 is Jan Kowalski in the Tyrrell 008. Third is Peter Lavak in the Williams FW06. Fourth is David Jakes in the Tyrrell 008. Fifth, Matthias Weber in the McLaren M26. Sixth is Jakob Frederiksen in the ATS HS1. Seventh, Ray Riddell in the Cooper Sukar F5A. Eighth, Yves Placé in the Enzyme N177. Ninth, Martin Lassina in the Theodore TR1. 10th, Francois Remen in the Ferrari 312 T3. 11th, Gerard Rion in the Lotus 79. 12th, Didier Congeot in the other Lotus 79. 13th, Philippe Martinelli in the Arrows FA1. 14th, Dana Schurer in the Ligier JS9. 15th, Richard Coxon in the other ATS HS1. 16th, David Seiber in the other Ferrari 312 T3. 17th, Mikhail Janak in the Surtees. And 18th, Mick Chapman in the other Arrows FA1-4. 19th and out of the race is Jean-Marie Placé in the McLaren. 20th place, Emmanuel Haas in the Privateer McLaren M23. 21st is David Yunt in the Renault RS1. And then the rest of the drivers in the order are out of the race. 22nd, Mike Becknell in the Mercerio. 23rd, Steve Parker in the Surtees. 24th, Jan Pitts in the Wolf. 25th, myself in the Brabham. 27th, Jonathan Asserklinth in the McLaren M26. And 27th, Raul Ureb in the other Brabham. 28th with a DNS will be, unfortunately, Vincent Durrell. And that is your running order as of 29 laps for now, with 30 laps complete.
Yes, around 40% of the race completed. We are almost halfway, and still Gregor Wassin has 11, almost 12 seconds of an advantage over Jan Kowalski. But it doesn't seem to grow any bigger. So
no, I think that's.
we wonder what will happen in the second half of this race.
No, I think that's the interesting point. You're exactly right, Richard, is that the gap is not growing. It's gotten to a certain point and then it's plateaued. So that's interesting. We'll see what happens to that gap as the tires wear down and as the race progresses. He's just now put a lap on Ray Riddall.
Yeah, so only the points positions now are on the lead lap at this point.
Yeah, only the top 6.
Jan Kowalski is now catching up also traffic, so Gregor Wassin might increase a bit his lead now. Meanwhile, a driver who's doing a fine race at this moment is Martin Lassina. Martin Lassina is currently 9th, and he's driving the Theodore, which, of course, it's a long cry from being a fast car. So his performance is very good so far. He's actually now in front of Francois Remen, who is now 10th and dropped a bit down the order, and he's behind Yves Passet at this point.
Oh, a little bit of miscommunication there, as he wasn't quite sure what line to take as Hlavik puts a lap on him. But yeah, Martin having a very nice run. This is the car, remember, that Emmanuel Haas scored a 6th place with at Monaco. So it is not impossible to do well in this car. It's not particularly quick, but in the right hands, it can be good.
Well, it seems to be a fortunate car, at least. Emmanuel Haas is also in this race, albeit a bit behind his at the moment.
No.
Fortunately, he didn't touch anything.
No, he didn't touch anything, and
so
he's
far.
doing
Let's see if he can rejoin.
Oh, no!
Oh, no.
Oh, I was just about to say...
That's not what you want to do.
No, I was just about to say that he was waiting for someone to for the track to be clear, and then he pulls out. Oh, no. That is so unfortunate.
I'm unsure if he could see Mick coming, but, well, one thing is for sure, Mick didn't see him there. So, I wonder if he can continue.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on Martin and see how his car is doing, but of course, obviously, Mick Chapman was the one who came out worst on that one. He lost his wing, and he's going to have to go to the pits. I'm watching Martin now, and he doesn't seem to be driving that much differently. He may have emerged from that without any problem, which is pretty lucky, but I'm sure he's not feeling too good about what happened back there. And in fairness to him, that is a blind hill, so he may not have seen him coming. He may have been looking in his mirror, doing what he was supposed to be doing, and he may not have seen him.
Well, one thing is for sure, it's very unfortunate for Mick. He was
very.
already down the order, and now he's going to the pits very slowly. Let's see if he can even continue.
Yeah, he's just now coming into the pits. He actually just bounced off the barrier coming in, so it looks to me like he has suspension damage as well as missing a wing, so he may not be in this race much longer, unfortunately. Mick is another driver that is one of the very best, I think, at HSO. Doesn't have as many races as other people, but when he does do well, he can uncork a really great drive.
Indeed. He's always a very, very, very steady. So myself, that place is Gerard Rion, our points leader at this point, who at this rate will lose the lead of the championship, is now 10th, still recovering from that first lap incident that saw him have to pit for a new wing.
Yeah, Gerard, I think that he would agree that when it comes to starts of races, he more than other people seems to have unfortunate situations, and some of them are not of his doing. Sometimes he's just a victim of circumstance. I didn't see the actual accident unfold, so not sure what it was this time, but now he's coming up on Francois Romain, and we'll see what happens here, because I mean, that Lotus, as we all know, is the class of the field.
Yes, he joined the long list of people who have hounded Francois Romain during this race. And of course, that Lotus being what it is, I don't think Francois will be able to hold him for long.
The gap between Gregoire Goissin and Jan Kowalski has actually dropped a little bit. It is now 10. It is now 10.6.
There goes Gerard. There goes Gerard, Jason, and he's through. He's through on the start-finish straight, and he takes the inside line to protect the position that he just gained, and he made it stick. So I guess Gerard now is in the 9th place, and Francois is back to 10th.
Well, the trick for Gerard now is going to be to just keep cool, keep driving up the order, and hopefully he can make it into the points eventually and bolster his championship hopes. Because as you point out, his chief rival is leading the race and could very well come away with 9 points, and we could see a change in the lead of the championship. But if you're Gerard Rion right now, you're trying to put the first lap out of your mind. It's done, it's over with, there's nothing you can do to remedy that except drive the best race you can and hopefully score a point or two.
Well, Mick Chapman is indeed a confirmed retirement. It's a shame there. And,
that really is unfortunate.
And so now, like you said, Gregor Agassin is leading with a 10-second advantage over Jan Kowalski. Petr Lavak is 3rd, David Jack is 4th, Matthias Weber 5th, and Jakob Fredriksson 6th. These are the cars on the points and still on the lead lap.
Richard, we could see a interesting battle shaping up for the lead here, or more than interesting, it could be really hot, because now that gap was 10.6. It's dropped to 10 seconds even, so Jan is very definitely catching our leader at this point. There's no question about it. So, and we have plenty of the race to go, so we could see a battle for the lead shape up here eventually.
Yes, and Kowalski coming round Richard Coxon at this point.
It's down to 9.
It's funny because we have the two drivers
now.
that. Yes, we have the two traded places here now together on the track. Of course, Richard is quite a bit down the order because of that incident earlier, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The
going
two
to go
cars
around
that swapped
him.
are together now. You're right. The gap is now 9.5 seconds, so it dropped a full over a second on that lap. So Jan is very definitely closing.
Yes, and this is quite running behind Richard.
Well, at some point, Richard's going to have to give way here. You would think. He does the sporting thing. He gets out of the way. So now Jan can go.
I guess
on
he
his
heard
way.
you.
Jan now can go on his way. Well, you know what? Jan is now 10.1 seconds behind. So that running behind Richard, just that little amount, cost him a half a second, or actually 0.6. So traffic. I mean, I think if you look at the calendar, I mean, other than Monaco and Belgium, this is probably one of the tracks where traffic is just going to be the biggest hassle, as they both make their way around, I believe, That was Emmanuel Haas
Emmanuel Haas.
driving the privateer M23, telling everybody to visit Spain. The gap
Yes, and Jan Kowalski continues his pursuit, although he lost a bit of time once again.
Yeah, the gap is now 11 seconds flat. Maybe Greg has also turned up the wick just a bit.
Of course, Greg turning up the wick, like you said, might pose a danger in the end of this race, because tires will be a factor. We just now arrived at half point. Greg is running his 38 lap of 75, and if he keeps going at such a pace, he might run into trouble later.
10.5 seconds now, so it's coming back down again. So it could have been just that traffic that got in the way of Jan, and now that he's free and clear, now he's back running at speed. So we'll see if he can do. Yep, it's dropping again. 10.4 seconds now. So we'll see.
Do you think that this will put back on Greg? I mean, he's been driving unopposed recently when he's in the lead, and this time that doesn't seem to be happening.
Well, Greg is running. I mean, basically, he's in a situation where he's run up a lead, and he could very well be in a position where I mean, there is a philosophy that says you run up a lead at the start of the race, you act like a rabbit, and then when the race gets further along and the car starts to get used up, you can let off a little bit and conserve the car. So that could be what he's doing. On the other hand, he's a very he drives 10/10 all the time, so it could be that his tires are just not hanging on like they have in other races. He just lapped Didier Congeot, so he's dispensing with the traffic quite quickly. He's not getting balked too much. And the gap is now 10.7, so it's hovering about the same spot.
Yes, he seemed to have picked up the place, but of course we know that he's driving on the limit, but that doesn't mean he makes mistakes. So we will see how he will contend to the end of this race. Of course, this can happen the other way around. Jan Kowalski trying to pursue him might run into tire trouble or make a mistake himself.
Well, he's not under immediate threat from anybody right now. There's 9 seconds between him and Peter Hlavik. So he's not being hounded, so he can focus on his own performance for the time being. And that could be, oh goodness, he just gained another half second. So it's now 10 seconds flat difference between our leader and Jan Kowalski. And he's taking a similar line through these corners that Greg is taking, using all of the road, including the aprons. So he's definitely on a charge, no question about it. We have some news from the paddock regarding Jonathan Asserklint's earlier departure from the race. He says, at the start, a Works McLaren shot it between me and another car on the left side of the straight, and we had slight interlocked wheels. It doesn't seem to have damaged the car, but it did damage my right front, so I couldn't turn left properly when I got to turn 3 and noticed it for the first time, panicked, and locked the wheels in a downshift, which saw me spin in front of the field. So that explains what happened to Jonathan, but we figured that was going to be an unfortunate situation that would befall at least a few people on the start because of how small the track is and how dense a field we have.
Well, it seems so at this point. Now, of course. That was unfortunate and quite common, actually. I mean, you yourself had a problem and you just couldn't continue anymore.
Well, I mean, I think it's the right thing to do. I mean, we've noticed some people, like, when you know that your car is damaged beyond the point of being competitive, it really, especially in a series like this one where the points are only awarded for the top 6, it really isn't the sporting thing to do to continue because you're just going to be in the way of people who are actually trying to do well in the race and still have cars that are close to 100%. So the best thing to do is just get out of the way. I mean, I myself, I'm not even so much thinking about this race as I am the next F1 race at Sweden, because that's the arrival of our cooling unit. I'm looking forward to putting that car on the track and seeing what it can do.
Meanwhile, Martin Lassina, we were talking earlier, he's 10th now, but he's coming under pressure from Felipe Martinelli in the Arrows.
We haven't heard much from the Arrows
team. Of a car.
This is a...
Indeed.
Yeah, the Arrows team has kind of gone unnoticed in this race, but we've got... yeah, you're right, Felipe is closing on him. And the Arrows, of course, is one of the very few ground effect cars in the field, so... and he does seem to be basically just timing it. Oh, he's right in his tail now. Yeah, he's got him on the straight here. It's funny, when we did the original allocation of cars, very close going into the turn, but he had the line. I think it's fair to say that the Arrows was one of the cars that was slightly overlooked by some people.
I suppose so.
Historically, when we think of Arrows, we don't really think of cars that are particularly quick, but people are quick to forget that in 1978 they had an excellent car.
Yes, they really entered Formula One, with a bang back then, and this particular car, the FA1, was a ground effects car actually.
Goodness!
David Sabres there, running really slow.
Yeah, running off the line, so something happened there.
Or maybe he was just making room. He's a lap down to these people.
His engine is smoking, too, so I know the Italian engineers would say to us, normale, but something may be wrong there. It could be that he over-revved it at some point, or the heat is just getting to it.
Well, this was a hot race back in the day, and I guess maybe virtually it is too. It surely looks sunny at least. And now Felipe is just pulling away from Martin. Going to say that this FA1 Arrows was actually a very good car back then.
And David Saber leaving a long trail of white smoke down the front straight, letting everybody know there's a new pope. And just an update.
Yes, I guess maybe his race won't last to the end.
Well, he looks like, well, he's going on the inside now. He's actually, he's contesting, it's not a fight for position, but he's clearly faster than Martin, who's just going, Martin just made room from there. Oh, goodness! And there goes...
Matthias Weber there also.
Matthias Weber, but those aren't battles for position, either of them. A little bit of an update on the front of the field. Those of you who are wondering, the gap is dropping again. It is now 7.7 seconds between Grégoire Goissin and Jan Kowalski. And we have another retirement, unfortunately. Francois Romain out of the race in the Ferrari. His engine let go. So perhaps that is a harbinger of what's to come for David. We certainly hope not. But looks like the flat 12 just wasn't up to the challenge today. I mean, it's a lot of revving all the way up through the rev range and then dropping right back down again. So it's like there's a lot of power cycle in the engine.
It seems so, and it was a shame because Francois was doing a fine job with the Ferrari. Well,
he
nothing
certainly
you
got a lot
do
of
about
TV
that.
time.
Well, that's for sure, and fortunately, for better reasons than last time. So I guess we will keep having Francois around now. And for now, indeed, Jan Kowalski He is a little under the 8 seconds behind Greg. So we still have to watch for this. Of course, the laps are ticking away, and Greg still has a fairly comfortable lead. But still, that all can go in smoke with just one error or anything else.
Well, this is entirely doable for Jan, if you want my opinion. I'm actually, not that I'm impartial, obviously, but I did pick him as a dark horse to win, and I do like it when my predictions come true. So we'll see how this goes. It's now 7.4 seconds. And looking at Gregoire, he's also running basically on his own. He doesn't have any lapped cars in front of him. Well, he does have one. He's coming up in a manual Haas, but I doubt he'll make much of a problem for him.
Yes, the top 10 at this moment is Greg Poisson is leading, Jan Kowalski is second, Petter Lavax is third, David Jack is fourth, Matthias Weber is fifth, Jakob Frederiksen is sixth, Ray Vidal is now in seventh, Gerard Rion is eighth, Yves Placé ninth, and Philippe Martinelli has came up all the way to 10.
And that race that we talked about earlier, strategy for Gerard Rion after his lap 1 incident is coming into, it's basically coming to the fore, where he's driving a clean race from this point, and hopefully, from his perspective, if somebody has an incident, it will propel him into the points. So he's doing tactically the correct thing right now.
Yes, he needs to score some points. He needs to, if losing the lead of the championship, at least to stay in touch with Greg, so he can fight back in the track characteristics. So he's trying everything he can to get a few points here.
The gap is now down to 6.25 seconds.
Well, Jan is definitely putting the pressure on Greg at this point. I don't think he can stay different to his lap times at the moment.
Well, the interesting thing now is you got to say to yourself, okay, what is making the difference? Because both cars are running with about the same level of traffic, and they're both getting through the traffic at about the same clip. So what is the difference here? Is it that Jan's car is better suited to this track? Is it that the tires have gone off for Gregoire faster than he would like? Because I would think that Gregoire would have responded by now if he could.
I believe so too. I wonder if Gregoire is unable to respond, or he's just trying to manage the difference at some point.
Because he can see the gap just as well as we can in the cockpit. So, I mean, I would think that Gregoire would have responded by now. But from a strictly spectator and commentary point of view, we could see a real exciting situation in a few laps if the current trend continues. We'll see.
I would even venture and say that this is classic Formula One that we are watching now. You know, Formula One, unlike maybe Indy in terms of oval racing and all that, was a much more an affair of trying to keep the distance, or if you will, your pace will be good enough or not to win. And this is what we are seeing here once again today.
Well, it's funny because, you know, anytime I see a situation like this where another driver is slowly reeling in the one in front, my thoughts go to one of my favorite race finishes in history, the 1982 Indianapolis 500, Gordon Johncock versus Rick Mears. And you know the finish I'm talking about, where Rick Mears is stalking Johncock in the last 7 laps. The gap is 7 seconds, then it goes down to 6, 4, 3, 2.5, a half second, and before you know it, final lap, he's alongside him, and the only reason that Johncock won was by sheer force of will. He just refused to give way going into turn 1, and it was probably one of the classic motor racing finishes in history. And we could see something like that happen here, potentially.
Well, different kind of track, but we might see a fight unfold all the way to the end,
Well,
which would be good news for us.
Similar situation in terms of psychology, I think.
Well, yes, although now Greg seems to have finally put his foot down because he bumped the difference all the way back to 7 seconds once again.
Maybe this is the response we were looking for. Maybe now he's finally decided, okay, I've got to turn the wick up a bit here.
Although I'm looking at the lap times, Jan was only 6/10 slower. Maybe Greg was faster, that's what I want to see. While Greg, on this last lap, was almost a half a tenth faster. So they both got together to create this new difference now, I suppose. So let's see how things keep unfolding. Ooh, Ray Vidal, something happened with him. He's out of the track, he just rejoined now, but he lost the place to Gerard Rion, who is now 7th, and Ray is back down to 8th now.
Car doesn't appear to be damaged. Yes, some mistake on his part, but that promotes...
Let's see if he keeps going.
He appears to be okay. Just maybe it was similar to the incident he had at turn 1 before where the car just got away from him, but he was able to catch it. Now he's got Yves Placé closing on him, but this puts Gerard Rion in 7th, so he's just one place away from getting points, and that's very critical for him because he is a definite favorite for the championship, and every point counts. And if you don't believe that, just ask Niki Lauda.
Who won the championship by half a point.
Well, he's been on both ends of that. He lost a championship by a point, and he won a championship by half a point. So he knows what it's like on both sides of that.
Well, Ray Vidal is now under pressure from Yves. I wonder if his tires are giving him trouble now, because
potentially
he seems to be very tentative going around this track at the moment, while Yves is smelling blood now and trying to keep going on pursuit of Ray.
It's very much a situation of blood in the water. I think you and I would both agree that when you're running by yourself, it's hard to, at times, give yourself the motivation to let it all hang out. But when you have a car in front of you, it's almost like a carrot that just spurns you on.
Yes, I agree. It extra motivates you to at least get to that one place that is right in front of you.
In the words of Sam Posey, when you're that close, you can just reach out and feel that guy ahead of you. Or girl, as the case may be.
Oh, maybe that would make more sense if he wants to use that analogy. Meanwhile, these two keep going very close to each other, although Yves doesn't seem to be able to bridge that last beat of Ray.
The lead gap is now 7 seconds, so that's settled down to some extent.
So I guess they are now trading tenths of a second between them two. Let's see how long that keeps up. And Ray Vidal, he seems to, when he enters the start-finish line, he seems to really pull just a bit away from Yves, at least entering the start-finish line, just enough so that he's clear of any attempt that Yves Placé might think about doing using the draft.
Oh, we've got a big traffic jam here between several cars. Looking at David Saber following a bunch of cars. You see, oh goodness! Oh, David Saber just lost his front wing. I believe that's the second time. And he ran into the back of Martin Lucena, and he's off to the side of the apron now. He may have done more damage than he's totally locked up the front brakes on that car. So there may be more than just a front wing problem with that car. But it looked as if, he's pulling way off the track now. It looked like there was a real bottleneck that was going to happen between himself and Dana Schurer and Martin Lucena there, and sure enough, there was contact. And it was just...
And unfortunately for him, Yes, that's what I was going to say. Unfortunately for him, now he has to go all the way around this track to get repairs.
Yeah, it happened just past the pit lane, so where he was where it was very lucky for Richard Coxon, it's not lucky for David because he's just past the pit entrance, so now he's got to go all the way around, and that's assuming that the car is not damaged beyond the front wing. It could be more severely damaged. He better make sure to turn that engine off when he's in the pits because he's already been displaying smoke. And if he sits idle with that engine for too long, it's just going to let go. So he's going to have to, hopefully he's going to have... no.
Oh no, Jakob Fredriksson he just quit. He was running on his own, so I guess he had an accident and he was in 6th place. This is a major turn-up because that will promote Gerard Rion to 6th.
I'm watching it now, and he doesn't seem
in a
to
points
have...
position.
I'm watching it now, and he just... It appears that he just inexplicably... Could it have been a disco? Yeah. No, I think that's a disco because he just all of a sudden went to the garage. That's a shame.
This is not a good race for the ATS team, which promised so much with 2 drivers of good quality like Richard and Jakob, but it's not meant to be today.
Well, that puts, like you said, that puts Gerard into the points to defend his lead, which is obviously going to get eaten into by assuming that Gregoire, scores maximum points. Even if he doesn't, that's certainly going to eat into his lead, and possibly he might lose his lead, but at least he's in a point-scoring position now.
Yes, the difference between the two is now 5.5 seconds. So Jan Kowalski has been slowly reeling Greg in.
So slowly, we didn't even notice it.
David, indeed. Meanwhile, David Jack and Matthias Weber, they are still now close to each other. Matthias has been reeling in David also. So the 4th place might be under danger soon.
This is a great drive by Matthias. I mentioned earlier that he didn't have a lot of practice in this car. So, the fact that he's driving at this level with such little practice says a lot about his ability.
Yes, Matthias, he's a quality driver. We see and we saw what he can do in the touring car series. And he's even on some, I believe he took part on some of the Kart 98 races, although you will know that better than me. And he seems to be... He seems to have gotten well with these cars. So he's doing a fine job with the McLaren here today.
With that foreshort view down the straight, it looks like he's pulling off of that last turn with way more speed than David Jakes. So we'll have to see what happens. That's clearly where he's faster in situations like that. And the gap is now down to 4.7 seconds for the lead. And we have 20 laps to go.
Indeed, with the demise of Jakob there, unfortunately. Ooh, now Matthias is very close to David suddenly.
He's taking a look, but maybe he's just going, hey, I'm right here. There was no room for him to actually make a move there, but he was probably, oh goodness, he just let it all hang out there.
David seems to be having trouble entering these corners. Maybe a case of classic understeer, while Matthias, he's hanging the car everywhere, trying to get close to David.
That's an astute observation, Richard, because I think, I think that's what's going on. You've got 2 different handling characteristics with these cars. It looks as if David's car is pushing, as we say in the United States, and it looks like Matthias is loose.
Oh, we have another fight in our hands. Philippe Martinelli and Ray Ridal. I believe they just swapped places, and then they swapped again. Martinelli is 7th, Ray Ridal is 6th, and Martinelli wants that last point. Because Lyon, something happened to him, and he's in the pits.
Indeed, Gerard is down to 9th. He's in the pits. So
And Philippe Martinelli is really, really close to Ray now. He wants that place badly.
Oh, it looks like he might try here. Oh, no! Oh,
Ooh.
goodness! Contact. And
That's not good.
no.
That wasn't good. And
Wow.
I guess a bit of a misunderstanding there.
From that angle, I don't know if that was the right place to attempt an overtaking maneuver. I'm going to take a look at it myself.
It was maybe a bit too optimistic on that corner in
I'm
particular.
looking at the replay now, and he was way too optimistic coming into that corner. Way too optimistic. It was a situation where he was diving down the inside, and he wasn't even alongside of Ray. So yeah, but it was one of those situations where he probably realized that he'd committed himself and he couldn't stop. So he was hoping that Ray saw him, but it naturally did not. So now he's actually coming up on Matthias Weber, and that's not even a or wait, is that a faster position?
No. He's unlapping himself from Matthias.
Oh, he's
now.
unlapping himself.
And what's even more curious is that our leader Gregor Guassin just passed by all these people and put another lap on them all.
And the gap for him is 4.7 seconds between himself and with the torrid pace that's been going on at the front here, third place Peter Hlavik is 22 seconds behind the lead, and David Jakes is 1 minute 20 seconds behind the lead. So the pace that Kowalski and Guassin are putting on here is just absolutely just leaving the rest of the field in the dust.
Yes, it's now Jan Kowalski's turn to overtake Matthias Weber, Philippe Martinelli, and the rest. So we will see how that goes down with his distance to Greg. Greg is keeping the distance now at 4 seconds, and Jan Kowalski might be running out of time at this point.
Well, potentially, but again, you know, all it takes is one. Oh, and look at that. Matthias Weber being the good sportsman and getting out of the way. So, I mean, if there are more situations like that, we could very well have the battle we have been licking our chops for, because, you know, this late in the race, people are probably more conscious of the fact that leaders are coming up to lap them, and they don't want to be on TV for the wrong reasons. Oh, man.
Ooh, I guess that those rear tires
cost him a tenth there. Yeah, that did. That cost him 3/10, that one slip.
Well, those tires are taking quite a lot of punishment, and heavens only know how Greg's tires are at this point. So Jan has to be careful with that. If he makes a mistake, it will be all over, his pursuit at least. So he will have to manage his tires wear with the fastest pace that he can possibly muster to keep tracking down Greg. Although the difference now went up to 5 seconds, I guess maybe he was a bit scared with that.
Well, next time by for our leader, there'll be 60 laps complete with 15 to go.
The top 10 at this moment is Gregor Guassin leads, Jan Kowalski is second, Petr Lavak third, David Jack fourth, Matthias Weber fifth, Ray Ridal is sixth, Yves Placé is seventh, Philippe Martinelli is eighth, Martin Lassine went up all the way until ninth again, and Didier Conjot is 10th.
And Gerard must really be kicking himself now, because he's down in 11th, and that could prove to be. It may not be evident now, but at the end of the year, that this race could be haunting him as a chance that he could have had to pull out an advantage in the points. But we still have 15 laps to go, so we'll see what happens. Oh, man.
Meanwhile, we have a big group bunched up. Yves Placé is attacking Ray Ridal at the moment, and he's very close to him. But then David Jack is trying to lap everybody here, and Philippe Martinelli is not far behind. Philippe Martinelli is 8th at the moment.
And we've got Kowalski coming through this group just now, if it wasn't exciting enough. So basically, this is where we see, are these people going to hold him up? And he gets by 2 cars there beautifully. Oh, man! Oh, and he makes
no,
contact
they
with
touched.
Eves just for a second there, but that was a beautiful recovery. Eves lets him by. He was trying to make the most hay that he could there with the traffic and probably bit off a bit more than he could chew. Now he has to get by.
We wonder if he has damage.
I don't know. It's hard to tell, especially when he's running in traffic. Now he's getting by Ray Radal, heading up the hill now towards his teammate. Well, that one little altercation cost him dearly. He's now 6 seconds behind the leader.
But all these other drivers, they are fighting for position. So Yves Placé is under attack from Philippe Tinelli at this point. And Ray Ridal is right up the road.
Yeah, this is exactly what Jan Kowalski didn't want. He didn't want to run into a big gaggle of cars and have to work really hard to get around them, because basically now he's given Greg a reason to breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief. Some of the pressure's off now, but now he's coming around to lap his teammate. And you're right that Philippe Martinelli now going to overtake Matthias Weber. Not a battle for position, but he gets by. Oh, goodness. I don't think Matthias Weber was expecting that, because he ran off onto the apron.
Yes, because Matthias is actually one lap ahead of all these drivers, and he was actually on pursuit of David Jake, and he lost quite a bit of ground due to traffic to the Tilo driver.
Well, now, Philippe has a full head of steam. He's coming up to the same spot where he had that issue before, and he's not going to make the same mistake again, but he is right with Eves now, and basically it's clear that he has the legs to get by him. It's just a question of picking the right spot.
Yes, Philippe Martinelli seems to have quite a tremendous pace at this stage in the race, and he wants to get by all these drivers, frankly.
Oh!
Maybe pushing a bit too hard there.
Maybe a bit too hard there. It's easy to overcook it on that corner because it's a double apex. And on the way in, it looks like a third-gear corner, but then it becomes a second-gear.
Now he will try for sure. Yes, he's going on the inside of Eves. And he took the place. Defending now in the inside. But he made it stick. And there's nothing Eves can do.
Eves now making way for Matthias. He figures the battle's over, so he may as well give it up now. So now Philippe
can go on pursuit of Ray,
who is right ahead of him on the road. It's not even, it's just that close. Well, I think it's probably a combination of the traffic, and maybe Jan now actually is suffering from some damage, because he's now 8 seconds clear, or Greg is 8 seconds clear of him. So perhaps he did sustain some damage in that brief contact with Eves. I'm going to give everyone a running order with 10 laps to go, if that's okay.
Fine by me.
Yeah. So a bit of a preview for those of you who are HSO regulars and either watching or take part. Next week we have round 2 of the...
Wait, Jason.
Whoa.
I told you fine by me.
Fine by you?
Giving the running order.
Yeah, but it's not 10 laps to go yet. We've got 2 laps until then. I'm just planning ahead.
Oh, I see. You're that kind of player.
Uh-huh. Next week is round 2 and 3 of the USAC National Championship. Really exciting race we had in Texas, and we'll see if we have 2 more exciting races. It's a 2-heat format, and then after that we have the Swedish Grand Prix at Anderstorp the following Sunday. So lots of exciting action coming up with HSO. So
Yes,
Ben,
indeed, we are not short of action here.
Yeah, Ben says that he's staying on Philippe, and quite rightly, because this is probably the hottest battle on the track. He's right behind Ray at this moment. Ray runs a bit wide, but able to keep it together.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be any room there, but he will probably be trying again on the front straight.
He's got an excellent opportunity here. He's right
there
in
he
the
goes.
toe. There he goes. Oh, he's having a bit of
Ray will
difficulty
make it
getting
harder.
alongside. No, he's...
Oh, he broke, maybe too late? No, he made it stick. Very good from him.
He broke very late, and now, unfortunately, Ray is right now. He has to give up a lap to Matthias.
So this, importantly, promotes Philippe Martinelli to 6th, so he bumps Ray out of the points, and he's now in the points position.
Well, Philippe is actually in the top 5 of the points, so him scoring points is significant to his hopes of doing well in the championship. So it's not just a matter of him, wanting to do well in this race. He's thinking about the overall picture too, I'm sure.
So he's pulling right clear away from Ray at this moment. He is quite faster.
All right, so
we now have in this stage of the race.
We now have 10 laps to go, and here is your running order in the Spanish Grand Prix. First place, Gregor Guassin in the Shadow DN9. Second place, Jan Kowalski, who is 7.266 seconds behind. Third place, Peter Hlavik in the Saudia Williams FW06. Fourth is David Jakes in the Tyrrell 008. Fifth is Matthias Weber in the McLaren M26. Sixth, Philippe Martinelli in the Arrows FA1. And those are the point scoring positions. In seventh, 2 laps down, is Ray Riddall in the Copersucar F5A. Eighth is Yves Place in the Enzyme. Ninth is Martin Lacina in the Theodore. 10th, Gerard Rion in the Lotus 79. 11th, his teammate, Didier Conjot. 12th is Dana Schur in the Ligier. 13th, Richard Coxon in the ATS, his first drive with that team. 14th is Mikhail Janak in the Surtees, the lone Surtees remaining. 15th is David Saber in the Ferrari. 16th, Emmanuel Haas in the McLaren M23. And the last car running in 17th is David Yunt, the Renault RS01.
Yes, and Philippe Martinelli just let Matthias Weber go. I guess Matthias was just too close and he was being waved blue flags all the time. And Matthias just overtook David Jacques, who is having quite a lot of trouble. I don't know what's wrong with him, if he has damage or anything. But he just lost that important position.
He's driving by him like
so Matthias Weber. Yes, Matthias Weber is now 4th. David Jacques is 5th. Of course, Philippe Martinelli with 6 is a lap down, but at that rate, I don't know what's happening with him.
Oh, I'm watching him now, and yeah, clearly something's not right. He's not driving with the intent that he was earlier. So Matthias Weber having an amazing race, running 4th. And yeah, in Philippe's position, he's got so much time to make up on David Jakes that you may as well just let Matthias go by at this point. There's really no advantage to, oh goodness, Matthias is letting it all hang out there. The tires must really be just down to the cords at this point.
Well, he doesn't seem to be slowing down, does he? Now Petr Lavak is coming to put another lap on them all. Petr is running 3rd.
It's funny.
Still on the lead lap.
It's funny because Petra, he seems to have these boring races quite consistently where he just ends up a very solid 3rd or 2nd. It seems to be his lot in life lately. But I don't know, if I were a driver in one of his cars or a car like that, I'd want to have boring races all the time. Stress-free and but he's making the most of it. I mean, he did win the first race of the season in Buenos Aires, but since then he's been racking up points here and there. But he's a driver that could very well be a threat late in the season, out of sheer consistency. What do you think?
Well, it's been good for him. He's been scoring some solid points in his last few races. So if he keeps doing like this, he might profit indeed from any mishap that might happen. I mean, he's going to put Gerard Rion's second place in danger due to his non-scoring here today.
Yeah, definitely there's going to be a huge sea change in the points after this race is over. So basically, and the next race after this one is Sweden, so it's going to be a track that probably will favor the ground effect cars. So that will be an excellent chance for Gerard to rebound.
Yes, so like we mentioned earlier, some tracks are coming up which are very fast and flowing. And so Gerard and the other drivers who benefit from that added downforce might be in a good position there to get some points and get some good results.
Well, I know we'd mentioned before that Greg was going to look back on Monaco as a missed opportunity because of what happened there, but because it was one of the few races that ground effect cars would not have an advantage in because of the type of track it is. But I think you could say a similar situation plays out here at Jarama. It's a track that really does favor racecraft, and he's making the most of it.
Well, yes, and speaking of Greg, we seem to go to an anticlimactic end of this race because the distance is actually growing between him and Jan. I guess Jan's tires or the damage that he maybe have gotten just put a damp on his hopes of catching Greg, and it seems that if nothing happens, Greg has another one in the bag.
Well, if I were Jan, I mean, at this point, clearly the car is used up, and you know, this is his first race with this car. He moved from ATS to the Tyrrell team after the departure of Richard for ATS. So, I mean, it really, I don't think you could have asked for a better result for him, you know, a reasonable one. I mean, he's clearly taking to this car like a duck to water, and I had him picked as a dark horse, you know, and dark horse, of course, is an outside chance, and that outside chance would have basically necessitated that Greg had an incident of some kind. He clearly has not, and if he just keeps it going, he's going to rack up another win. And I'm not certain, but I'm thinking that would probably promote not only him to the lead of the points, but also Shadow to the lead of the Constructors' Championship.
Oh, Gerard Rion is now attacking Martin Lassina, and he just went by.
Went by.
Rion, yes, Gerard Rion is now 9th, and Martin is 10th. Martin's still hanging there with that Theodore. Gerard, of course, after yet another problem, trying to get a few places, but I guess this now will be too little too late.
And Philippe Martinelli is now having to handle up a bunch of slower cars, but basically, if he can just keep the car going, he's going to score a point.
Yes, he's still a bit in front of Ray Vidal. He cannot afford to make a mistake. But he has
now he's in an awkward position again because he's caught Matthias Weber once again. Clearly, he's moving faster than Matthias is at this stage, and he wants to go quickly, but he at the same time realizes that passing Matthias is not for position. So it's kind of an odd place to be.
And Gerard Rion is in the barriers, Jason.
Oh no!
Gerard Rion is in the barriers. Something happened, and now he beached it. It seems because the car is not moving, and he lacks the front wing, he lacks wheels.
No, he did what a classic thing that a lot of people were doing in practice, where he lost the rear end coming out of that corner and just went straight into the barrier. I did that myself, and yeah, he has beached the car. but he.
And that's the end of this race.
Yeah, it's the end of his race. I mean, he had lost a wheel anyway, so even if he had managed to get the car unstuck, and he actually does now, and now that I'm looking at the replay, but he wasn't going to be able to continue.
So Martin Lassina gets the place back, and his teammate Didier Conjug is promoted to 10th.
Eves now is closing on Ray, and Ray actually has Dana Schur in front of him. So assuming that, I mean, well, Dana's been pretty sporting in letting people by. So yeah, she's letting him by now. So it's not going to hold him, and she probably won't hold Eves up either. Yeah, she gets right out of the way. So now Eves has got a clear path to attack Ray Riddall. Oh goodness! It appears that.
Richard Coxon is in the pits again.
Yeah, but it appears that Peter Hlavik made a mistake of some kind. He just in front of Yves Placé and Ray Riddall. I'm going to go back and look at the replay and see what happened.
Yes, he did, because the
Yeah, he
distance
spun.
grew quite a bit.
Yeah, he spun around. It appears that he did it on his own. Yeah, he did it on his own, coming out of the second tight hairpin, the first gear one, and he just was getting the power on, and he lost it. But fortunately, without any damage, and he was able to spin the car around another 180 and take off. But
well, he now seems to be in the way of Yves Placé, actually. And Martin Lassina just retired with suspension damage. That's very unfortunate. He was running in 9th place. Great performance there, but I guess he must have clipped a barrier somewhere. And that's the end of his race also.
I think we're seeing a situation here where drivers are either getting tired or their tires are just giving up at this point, or both. And weaknesses just start to come through.
Well, Petr Lavak, he's really going slowly now. I guess his tires are totally finished. He dropped like a stone, and now he left Yves Placé to go in pursuit of Ray again. Of course, Petr Lavak has quite a bit of an advantage over everybody else that is behind him, but Matthias Weber might still take his place if he keeps driving as slow as he is now.
Well, it's certainly a situation where, I mean, I didn't see him get any contact there. When he did that spin, at least I couldn't see it from my vantage point. So if he is running that much slower, it's got to be because the tires are just gone. So we're almost to the end here, Richard.
Indeed, with the demise of Martin Lassina, Dana Schur is promoted to the last top 10 position. She's now running 10th with the Ligier. And Greg is 2 laps away from wrapping yet another race.
Oh, and the leader's coming up to David Yunt now, who is absolutely all over the track. Last car running on the track, but he's determined to finish. Oh, he balks our leader for just a moment there. I'm sure that he's not too happy about that, but he'll probably get him on the straight here. 1 lap to go now for our leader, Greg Guasana. And this has been another example of great racecraft from him. Very clean throughout the race, handled the traffic beautifully, straight off of the pole. And, I mean, we're seeing really why he's probably the premier driver in HSO right now, is that he's able to extract brilliant drives, frankly, from mediocre cars. And a great drive also by Jan, assuming he can make it to the end. In a new car, excellent performance, and Peter Hlavik, another great solid run for Williams.
Yes, other notably still runners are Michał Janak is still in the race with the Surtees. Richard Coxon, despite stopping once again for repairs, I believe, is still in the race. And also David Saber, Emmanuel Haas, and David Yunt, they are all still running.
So only 2 corners to go now for our leader. Coming
Petr
down
Lavak, meanwhile, he keeps losing time. He was lapped by the leader already.
Well, he doesn't have long to go now. Gregor comes off the corner, approaches the line.
And there
it
he
is.
goes. Gregor Wasson wins the Spanish Grand Prix of 1978, here at least virtually in HSO. Petr Lavak already crossed the finish line, so he secured his third place. And Greg is celebrating now. We are expecting Jan to come across the line, and there he goes. So
Jan
Kowalski second, Petr Lavak third, Matthias Weber will most likely be fourth, David Jack will come in fifth, and Philippe Martinelli in sixth. This, if anything doesn't happen, I mean, will be our point scorers today.
And Gregoire and Jan are opening a donut shop, apparently.
It seems so.
Yeah, but he finishes 17.8 seconds, or more like 0.9 behind Greg. So it was a valiant effort by Jan to stay in contact with Greg, and it was fun to watch it seesaw back and forth. But I think that bodes well looking ahead. Having him in a Tyrrell adds another interesting dimension to these races. Not that Richard was not doing well in the Tyrrell, but I think if Richard, if some things had gone differently today, we could have seen him up there in the ATS as well. So.
Yes, I believe so. I believe Richard could have been a factor, at least in the point standing, and Jan surely seems to be a factor in terms of front-running pace now.
Well,
so I guess this is all for today.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining me here today, Jason. I was running here all alone, although it was unfortunate that you retired. Hope you have better luck next race, but I guess you might.
Maybe. We'll see.
Thank you very much also for Ben, our director, once
Yes,
again.
Ben,
Congratulations to... Yes, indeed. Great job once again. Congratulations to all the finishers, and see you all at home next time in the Swedish Grand Prix. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.